This movie has 4 things that I don't like, and 1 thing that I really do like.
What does that mean?
That there's 4 key things in this film that I hate.
Oh,
That it does repeatedly.
other than the total film itself.
Correct.
Right, okay. What are the 4? Well, no, what do you want me to guess?
Oh, could you?
I mean, potentially.
Sure.
Right, here we go. I'll take a stab in the dark. Profound animal cruelty. I thought we were done for the year.
Nope. Special episode, baby.
Yeah, we've got the final episodes already done, and it's got a date to go and stuff, and now this fucking
secret special episode.
This fucking bastard in films come out, and we now have to cover it because it's topical.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. It's not good, though.
Well, hello there. Welcome to On the Beat, the podcast that uncovers full frontal male nudity in cinema. My name is Laura, and I am joined by my co-host, Ryan.
Hi.
Hey, Ryan. I brought you here today to talk about the brand new 2021 Jane Campion film, The Power of the Dog.
Thing is, I don't want it to seem like I'm shitting on Jane Campion, but everything we've seen of hers recently has been absolutely dire. It's been...
Don't 100% agree with you. I don't 100% agree.
Right. Well, why? What's the thing that you did enjoy recently that
Well,
you
no,
saw
I enjoy
first?
bits. I don't think it's all trash.
What do you mean? No, you have to enjoy it in its totality. You can't just be like...
Well, no, because there can be parts that I like. I think if you put it all
choosing.
Together and you blend it all and you know, meld it together.
It's a Jane
overall,
Campion. Yeah, Jane Campion smoothie.
Yeah, I didn't come out of it feeling like I want to jump off a cliff.
That's fine, but I mean, if you put a turd in the smoothie, the fucking smoothie still tastes like shite. You know what I mean?
I think that's a really sad way of looking at life.
Everything should be perfect all of the time.
Because there's poop everywhere.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Yeah. We're back on Jane Campion. To the point where we're I'm doubting if the piano's any good. You know what I mean?
I'm going to watch it again. And I have watched more Campion since we did episode 3 in the cut. I watched Sweetie. I don't remember what year that was, but I watched that. That also has full frontal. So spoilers, Ryan, we're probably going to have to do that one at some point.
Great.
And what else did I watch?
Bright Star.
Bright Star.
Yeah. That's not good either.
No. And that's got really good reviews on Letterboxd. And I didn't like it. And that's really right up my alley. I love a period piece.
Yeah, people seem to love this one. I mean, I don't know.
This one. The Power of the Dog.
Power of the Dog, yeah.
People
seem to like this one
buzz.
fair bit. Yeah,
There's
people seem to really like this one. I hope it's not because, I don't know if I've fallen out of love with a particular kind of filmmaking or, and I don't want to bar it all out as just kind of very melodic, kind of meditative kind of filmmaking, because I quite enjoy that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I just don't like Jane Campion's films.
Perhaps.
I mean, that's just the way it is,
Well, I think, and how you described a shit smoothie is how we definitely have differences in how we look at things in general. Because it's not
a total shit smoothie. It's got strawberries and cherries, a bit of banana. It's got some mango in there for a bit of zing, but then someone's also put a bit of poo in there. That's
too much. That's a bit too much. That's like the mango.
It's a smoothie. It's kind of it. It's like you're making soup. You can put anything in a soup.
No.
Yeah,
you definitely cannot.
You can.
No.
You can.
Because it tastes weird if you put weird stuff in there. Okay. That's not the point. The point is that I think that I tend to look at things in more of a general overall kind of,
Yeah.
I don't want to pick these little pieces out and go like, this fucking ruined everything and it was trash because of this. There's stuff that I liked and stuff I didn't like. You know, I didn't like the castration, spoilers. I didn't like the mutilation, spoilers. I didn't like someone slapping a horse around. Not a fan. But guess what? I left the film, left my couch, because it's a Netflix film,
it's a Netflix
feeling
movie.
overall surprised in a bit. And I don't know, mildly satisfied, because I think being with you, Ryan, and knowing how you feel about Campion, and then hearing from other people how they really, really liked it, but they don't have the relationship we have with Jane Campion.
No.
You know what I mean? So I definitely didn't have high hopes.
It's also an unrequited relationship with Jane Campion. She doesn't even probably know that this even exists.
Of course she doesn't.
No. I mean, to be fair, she probably shouldn't even give a shit, because she's definitely on the higher pedestal than say the likes of me in terms of filmmaking caliber and things like that. But at the same time,
I think that if you
had sent something's fucked up, you know.
If you had sent Benedict Cumberbatch an email saying, "I'm making a film, will you take your dick out?" How do you think he would respond?
I don't know. I think he'd also respond with, "Will you give me an opportunity to try and rectify my terrible American accent?"
And you say yes.
I'll be like...
And then he fails.
It's not so much that he fails, it improves with every film that he does. Because obviously, when he started playing Doctor Strange, at least in the first Doctor Strange movie, it was glaring how
I
awful it was.
Think about anything other than his accent
during
the whole of that first Doctor Strange movie.
I thought it was a comedy.
Was it in the Thor... Or was it a Thor thing where it was
No, it was the first Doctor Strange movie.
No, but you know how they have the snippets at the end, the after credit scenes? And it's the first time we ever saw Stephen Strange. And he's like, "Hello, I'm Dr. Stephen Strange." And
I suppose you are Thor.
You must like beer. You are a man.
I was once a surgeon in my previous life.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit...
He's gotten better.
It was jarring, let's to say the least. It was jarring.
And to be fair, we don't need Benedict Cumberbatch to do an American accent.
The thing is, the MCU's done quite well by giving him less dialogue. We'll see what he does with the new Spider-Man movie that comes out this coming week. So
I'm so excited.
Yeah, we'll see. But he's... Well, no, let's put it this way. I think Benedict Cumberbatch is a very good actor.
Absolutely.
I think he's very impressive in this movie, if for the one thing, and this is the thing that really kind of brings the film down for me, and it's not that it feels like it's a drudgery, because it's very dull, and you feel like you're grasping at whatever plot points are kind of thrown your way, because you're desperately wanting something to happen, or at least to kind of feel like what happens at the end of the movie feels justified, because I'm not 100% sure. But Benedict's character is an incredibly unlikable...
he's horrible.
He's a salt of the earth cattle rancher.
Yeah.
So, for the most part, he is at no point ever likable in any way, shape, or form.
No, not really.
There's not a redeeming characteristic about the man.
And as we've gone deep into this, and I haven't even introduced who's in this film, nor have I given a summary of what this is.
No.
And as we've mentioned before, it is on Netflix. It was a Netflix premiere very recently. And
I'm going to talk about Jane Campion's previous thing. This is her first film in 12 years.
What was it Bright Star before this one? Or was there a different one?
Well, let's put it this way. Whatever she made last, effectively, almost, oh dear.
I'm not going to bring it up right now. Just kidding. You gave me the shitty pop shield, so it just fell in my face.
Okay. Well, just don't touch it.
Didn't
Don't touch it.
Okay.
Or touch anything. Well, no, she hasn't made a film in 12 years, and I'm assuming the last film she did was Bright Star.
Well,
she has been doing TV in the interim.
That's true.
And I'm assuming most directors are probably doing that now, because of just the way the film industry has changed to such a drastic degree within the last 10 or 15 years, just in terms of like securing funding and
it's
things
tough.
like that. So things are different now.
Well, how about, Ryan, you go and check her letterboxd while I go and do my overview. So we have Benedict Cumberbatch as Phil Burbank, Kirsten Dunst as Rose Gordon, Jesse Plemons as George Burbank, and Cody Smith-McPhee as Peter Gordon. So Cody Smith-McPhee plays Kirsten Dunst's son that I didn't realize until maybe halfway through the film. I thought it was her brother.
I thought it was the brother as well.
Whoops. And Cumberbatch and Jesse Plemons are also, they are brothers. Not also brothers, but they're brothers. The cinematographer is Ari Wegner. Oh my God.
Ari Wegner.
Ari Wegner.
Yeah, there you go. Sounds better.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. Who was also the director of photography on Zola, which is another movie we're going to have to do soon. That came out in 2012, which I remember reading the Twitter threads on that. So if you guys don't know what that is, check out like the Zola Twitter threads. Very funny. That movie is on Showtime right now as of the recording of this podcast. I recommend it. Definitely recommend that movie, and we will be doing that eventually. Maybe we'll do that one soon.
Cool.
Because I just watched it. So
Bright Star is her last film.
Okay, fair.
So she's not got a ton of stuff on there anyway.
Okay. So the synopsis of this film from Letterboxd.
Yeah, what is the story of this film according to Letterboxd? Yeah, I'd love to know.
You're gonna have problems. Okay.
I'm gonna have a shit.
Don't shit.
I'll try my best.
Okay. Charismatic rancher Phil Burbank inspires fear and awe in those around him. When his brother brings home a new wife and son, Phil torments them until he finds himself exposed to the possibility of love. I read that synopsis before we watched the movie. And I don't want to, we're not going to go too deep into spoilers. We're going to give,
It's still relatively quite new.
It is new, so we're not going to ruin this movie for you. I'm just going to give you, I don't know, whatever. Just listen, we'll deal with it.
Other podcasts and reviewers and stuff or analysts would 100% spoil everything about it. But to be fair, because of the angle we're taking on it, obviously, on the podcast and all our media and things, we don't have to tell you the ending of the movie. It doesn't really matter. It's not going to be beneficial.
Not in the grand scheme of things. No. But I do have problems with this synopsis because I was waiting for certain things to happen based on this that weren't satisfied. So it's very, very weird. And the tagline is weirder.
Yeah, I hate the tagline.
The tagline is, "What it means to be a man."
Pesh.
Doesn't make any fucking sense.
Pesh.
But this was a book written by Thomas Savage, I believe in the 60s.
Yeah.
And
it was adapted by Jane.
Sure was. She loves to do that.
Yeah, good for her.
She does.
Yeah. Congratulations.
And there was a few times within us watching the movie where I was like, oh, this is my favorite song because it sounded like shit. Some of the score was so annoying.
Well, I'm gonna say because who has done the score? What's his name? He's the guitarist from Radiohead,
Johnny Greenwood.
So he's made some relatively quite good scores,
absolutely,
for other movies. The one, obviously, that I mostly remember is There Will Be Blood.
Yes,
and I think the score for that's very effective. I would just say that maybe he's been misdirected.
Are you just gonna blame Jane again?
She's the captain of the ship.
Yeah,
she also wrote it, so
yeah, it's a bit
she also
repetitive.
made In the Cut as well. I don't know if anyone's aware of that. She also made a movie called In the Cut, and it's terrible.
That's not that bad.
There's also another
that's on Netflix
book that
too.
she adapted. Yeah, it is. If you want to watch it, if you want to laugh, you might as well watch that one. There's some funny bits in this movie as well, unintentionally, I might add. But
oh my god, yeah,
there's some shit. But no, yeah, there's some. Let's look at it more.
Okay, we don't need to keep doing a poo. We don't need to keep pooing on it.
No, I was gonna say I think some of the film looks nice.
No, I think it's beautiful.
Really?
I really do. I think
wouldn't
that
go that
you
far.
have the really wide landscape shots that are very, very beautiful.
I would
and obviously,
say-
we're not shooting in Montana, which is where the film is set. We're shooting in New Zealand, and New Zealand's fucking gorgeous.
Yeah, it was a New Zealand funded. It was a New Zealand Film Commission funded.
I think it was
film.
like an international thing, so it was filmed in a few different places. But I'm fairly certain the landscape is
I think
New
almost
Zealand.
90% of it is shot in New Zealand.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
But it's meant to be Montana, basically.
You know, and you have so many of those overhead, very, very wide shots where everything looks quite small. Everyone feels kind of small and isolated, and I thought that was effective.
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly some questionable things about like the dating of the movie and the fact it's set in 1925, and I think I felt like it was the level of the lack of modernization I felt from even this time in history was quite glaring from
I don't
what I saw
know.
in
They
the movie.
did they not have telephones? Wait, did they not
Maybe.
have telephones?
I mean, they were still writing letters and stuff.
Well, we write
And they were
letters
also,
now.
I mean, one of them had a car, you know.
There's cars, you have electricity, and yeah. I think it made sense in the way that they are so isolated. This is a farming community.
Yeah.
This is a ranch. You're in the middle of nowhere. You know, to get somewhere, it takes quite a long time. So
Yeah.
it makes sense. And you're also dealing with that westward expansion towards California, towards Pacific Ocean.
Yeah.
So it's not as settled. And it's not as settled now. If you drive through that area or go through even the Midwest at all, sometimes you can drive for miles and miles and miles and not see a person.
Yeah. That's fine. I was kind of more like personally, I feel like with that location and how they did it, it would have been very difficult for them to make it look ugly.
Yeah.
This is not the like Terrence Malick levels of like that sort of grandeur though. Like I wouldn't even go that far. Like it doesn't even scratch the surface of say Badlands or Days of Heaven. Like
Right.
that sort of idea, because they are very similarly kind of meditative, like artistic journeys focused on, you know, these kinds of people.
Okay.
And also I would say this is a atypical Western. So for the most part it's relatively quite mumbly. So you kind of find that for the most part, the fact that everyone seems to be talking through whatever, everyone's got cotton balls in their mouths. You're not really 100% sure what people are saying either.
That did happen in the beginning of the film where I couldn't understand what Cumberbatch was saying, and I
No.
just let it go. I'm like, I don't have any questions. Just keep going.
But like, there's better examples out there on how you make a film of this type look absolutely gorgeous. And I would say the
She doesn't
assassination.
have to, though. She can just make her own film. It doesn't have to be, you know, compared to every other film. Why can't it just be this film? She made her film this way.
That's fine. I'm not going to give it props for looking amazing, because I don't
I
think
think
it
it looks
does.
beautiful.
Nah, that's fine. Just
thought
watch
it
the
was good.
assassination of Jesse James. It's better.
Honestly,
It's a better movie.
I thought that movie was boring.
Wow, there you go.
I didn't mention it to you earlier
That
today.
was boring. This goddamn thing.
Can't see, the thing is, I can't remember the Jesse James movie, but I remember this one because we just watched it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't remember a lot of Power of the Dog.
Do you remember Angry Hula Hooping though?
Yeah, it was pretty funny. It's so kind of like, it's such a weird thing.
So many things that I laughed at, and I don't know if it's meant to be funny, but maybe that's okay, you know? And I'm glad that we watched it at home and not in the theater. I don't think that this movie adds anything being in the theater, and that's, I don't know if that's controversial.
I think that's a damning indictment on how it looks. But anyway,
And no, it's not about how it looks. It's how I want to be able to look over at somebody that I'm watching the film with and go, what the fuck is happening? Why is this happening? Who are they talking about? What is this? Like, there was so many times where we looked at each other and I said, wait a minute.
yeah,
I don't understand, you know? And we're missing like this central kind of through line where neither of us knew through most of the film what the point is.
Here's the thing, and I'll say this about I'll say this about certainly some of the reviews and things I've seen is that people feel like you can read into it so much further than I personally feel like it actually deserves. Because either it's unintelligible or it's being misconstrued as feeling deeper and requires further examination. I feel like it's just not as deep a story as it seems to feel like
Maybe
it is.
you're not connecting with any of the characters because you do have characters that you could potentially dive deeper into. You have the Cumberbatch. I'm not going to dive too deep into his story, but he is a man who feels
Character development is weak.
Dependent on his brother.
Yeah, the only good characters in the movie are himself and his brother. They're the only two good characters in the movie.
Okay.
Yeah. They're the only ones that are like not as shallow as a puddle. For the most part.
Right. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I think that's also the thing where you're not able to connect with any of the characters. You're not able to connect with Kirsten Dunst's character.
No.
Who feels, that she's been probably abandoned by her husband and she's left with this kind of abusive brother-in-law who's, treating her like shit and being really, condescending all the time. And she feels like she needs to just drink alcohol in bed and go to sleep.
I mean, I will say I couldn't see how, because again, they don't show it and they show it very much in a level of chapters all the way through the course of it. I couldn't understand why she was at such odds with Cumberbatch's character at all, other than the fact he taunts her sometimes.
Right. No, I also thought that she was a little bit weak-willed, and that I found annoying. You come into this house and you're married to the man who at least partially owns this ranch, and you have a level of, authority. And she just is like meek and sad, and everyone's crying all the time. Everyone's so sad.
Yeah, but then
everyone's eyes are welling up with tears.
Yeah, everyone's crying all the time.
All the time.
And I mean, I can understand maybe the more
maybe it's because they live in
Montana. The sexual
Montana.
Politics that are going on there, where the woman's not going to say anything to the men. It's also their family's cattle ranch. So Cumberbatch probably has so much more stake in where they are than she'll ever have, even being married to his brother. That's
right,
kind of
and the
way
brother
I
is not
always
going to
saw it.
help either because he's also very weak-willed.
No.
So.
And where the other part of like the synopsis comes into play is with her son Peter, who is basically detailed as a young, meek, probably homosexual young man.
Yeah.
And that, for the most part, causes relative amounts of rifts and tension amongst the very male, salt-the-earth oriented lifestyle that they're all inhabiting there. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, they have a problem against the brother who marries Dunst.
Yeah.
He calls him fatty.
Yeah, he's really mean to him.
You know,
he's
so
really
I mean,
mean to him.
Yeah, so no, I mean, Peter has...
It's really shitty to everybody.
Peter has no chance against him if the brother who's slightly overweight but barely looks it is basically being taunted. Like, I mean, they call that kid all sorts of horrible stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They do.
Yeah. And obviously not delving too far into the story and the development of Cumberbatch's character, but yeah, there's some sexual tension there.
I didn't love it. I'm just kidding.
No.
I found it intriguing, but it was funny because the son, who I still thought was the brother for most of the movie, his name's Peter.
Yeah, it's not explained till at least an hour into the film who he is.
Oh my god!
Like with a passing
He's
line
like
of
so
dialogue.
old.
Yeah.
He's so old. He just looks like her brother.
Yeah.
I'm like, are their parents dead? That's not what's happening here.
It's either that or, I mean, like, Kirsten Dunst is, like, ageless.
I love her.
Yeah.
But every time she said Peter, it was so awkward. I'm like, has she had another character in a film that she's playing against called Peter other than Spider-Man? So that every time she goes, oh, Peter Parker. You know, I shouldn't say Peter Parker, but it's like, I just kept feeling like Tobey Maguire is going to pop up. Just waiting for him.
Yeah. Well, Tobey Maguire's been busy with that other movie that he might be in.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
No spoilers. No spoilers.
Well, I don't fucking know.
I know.
I'm
I
just going
ran
where
out of the theater the other day.
I'm just going where the internet tells me to go.
Ran out of the theater because I didn't want to see the Spider-Man trailer.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, we will see. We will see. I mean, I'm doubting we're going to be covering that on the podcast anyway. So.
If there's a dick in Spider-Man No Way Home, I'm going to lose my shit.
Yeah.
I will scream in the theater.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it'll be Jay Jonas, probably. Yeah.
J.K. Simmons. He's not on my list. As far as I know, he's never gotten naked, so.
No. I mean, he doesn't need to. It's fine.
He's perfect.
Yeah. Hula Hoop and Peter.
Yeah, we got Hula Hoop and Peter, which I loved so much. I laughed so hard.
Weird, yeah.
He's just
weird.
so angry.
Came out of nowhere.
Just hula hooping like crazy. I only have a couple of points in this movie that I wanted to bring up, and other than angry hula hooping, was when I mentioned it before, but when Cumberbatch slaps the absolute shit out of that poor horse. He's got a lot of like rage within him, and like anything will set him off. Like any little thing will absolutely ruin his day, and he's got to not only tear a new asshole for everybody, but he also has to beat the shit out of a horse.
The man's at odds because he can't control the feelings that he seemingly has.
Because he's a manly man.
Because he's a manly man, and he can't admit that, this is the 1960s. This is only 1925. He does not want to admit that it potentially has feelings for men.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't,
and that's not too much of a spoiler. I mean, that's very much like the crux of this guy's character. But at the same time,
our decade's gay cowboy movie,
pretty much. But Brokeback Mountain is far superior film to this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like
fuck yeah, I love that movie.
That movie's very good.
It's so good. I watched it and I cried.
Yeah, that film is not boring. So, the horse scene.
All I was thinking the whole time is like, how are they doing this without actually hurting the horse? Like, I know that horse isn't that good of an actor. Like, he's scaring the horse.
No, the horse is genuinely scared.
There's a lot of like upset animals and a lot of like cut open animals and like animal balls, and I fucking hated that shit.
Yeah.
Again, there's things I liked, but overall, I still liked this film. But man, oh man, I had to look away. They're cutting off skin. Ugh, farmers.
Well, the thing is, like, they're taking the cows and stripping their hides to make rope. I'm assuming.
Rope farmers.
Yeah, but then there's this other. There's other things that kind of happen later on. You're like, well, what are they doing? But I'm assuming because they are relatively quite wealthy people.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like okay, but. Yeah, I don't know. If there's people out there who paid more attention to it, then please let me know what exactly Benedict Cumberbatch is actually doing there.
I think that's maybe just a byproduct of cattle ranching, because you can do so many things with a horse. Or I'm sorry.
Yeah.
With cows.
Yeah, they're not doing it. Yeah, other than hitting the horses.
Other than smacking the horses up, yeah.
Just takes a towel and he starts slapping the horse with it.
I hated it.
I was like, why are you doing this? And it's obvious. Like, it happened, and like you see the horse like kind of topple over and stuff like that.
Yeah, he's scared.
He wants to run away.
He's so scared.
And then you go, oh Jane.
God damn it, Jane.
Yeah, it was not.
I don't remember a lot of animal cruelty in The Cut or any of your other films. Why are you slapping fucking horses?
No, the only cruelty in that film was the painful watch that it was. That's
cruelty to the audience?
Yeah, cruelty to everybody else out there.
Whatever, that movie was not as bad as you say.
Yeah, whatever. I'm allowed an opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember that other part where you've got Kirsten Dunst and Plemons, who, by the way, are a married couple? This is a married, in real life, couple of human beings.
Yeah, not to be, like, horrible or anything, but, like, every time I see him, he looks like that villain out of Dick Tracy. He's like Brickhead. Like, bricks off head. You know? Because, like, I know in Spider-Man and stuff, there's a character called Hammerhead, and he's just a guy with, like, a square-shaped head who, like, headbutts things.
Yeah,
so,
he does.
Yeah, so, like, yeah, I don't know, like, he's got a massive forehead.
He does.
And he does remind me of the guy in the Dick Tracy movie, which is actually also, I think it's a better film than this one as well.
I don't think I've seen that movie.
It's really good. I think it's on HBO. You might actually be able to watch it.
Okay.
I haven't seen it in a long, long time. But
I don't think I've seen that or Who Framed Roger Rabbit all the way through.
I cannot believe you've never seen that movie all the way through. It's
the only movie I want to watch with like humans mixed with cartoons is Cool World.
Well, I know we're gonna watch something after we finished up with this.
Wait, you made me watch Roger Rabbit. I don't want to watch it right now.
No. We got like The Night House we can probably watch.
Okay,
I want to watch that actually. I want to watch something that I think is going to be good.
Okay, good. Yeah, we watch a lot of trash this weekend. Not this included. Hold on. Okay, so I wanted to talk about the part where Plemons and Kirsten Dunst go and they have a little dance. It's like they just got married. They go have a little dance, and then he starts crying. Like everyone always fucking starts crying. Everyone's eyes are just liquid. And he goes, "I can't believe I'm gonna be alone." He goes, and she's like, what's going on? Why are you so upset? And he goes, it's just so nice to not be alone.
Oh, fuck off.
And I'm like, dude, you've been sleeping in the same bed as your brother for the last 30 years. What are you talking about alone? Yeah. They sleep in the same bed. They sleep in the same bed all the time. They sleep in the same room and they sleep in the same bed.
Yeah.
They share beds. Like, you have a mansion. You have a ranch mansion.
Yeah.
There's so many rooms in that place. That place is gigantic. But then they're sharing a room with like twin beds. Get the fuck out of here.
Well, look, I'll be 100%.
So codependent, these two.
No, but you know what? I think that's actually interesting into like their character dynamic. I actually think that's quite interesting. I didn't have any problem with that.
Well, tell me whatsoever. Why is it interesting?
Why is it interesting?
I think it's weird.
It shows.
Where's their private time?
It shows to me that their family dynamic as they were growing up was not strong, and it wasn't. They were supportive of each other.
Okay.
That's what it screams to me.
So you think that their parental units were not supportive people?
Yeah. He takes the piss out of his brother all the time, calls him fatty and stuff like that. But anyone who's ever had a sibling or anything like that, if you're doing that growing up, that always happened. And also Benedict Cumberbatch, I would say just his character in general.
I don't think I was that mean to my brother.
No.
Well, I have two brothers, but that was in the middle, so I couldn't be mean to my older brother.
No. But we're not. This is a film. So we're we're looking at them and the kind of what they're doing and things like that. He's also slightly jealous of his brother because his brother's gone to college and he's more learned.
Yeah.
Well,
he's not completely responsible for like the comings and goings and the business of the ranch.
No, I mean, Cumberbatch holds the shovel. He has the fucking account book. That's just the way it seems to be.
Right.
Like, that's their dynamic. But I like to think that overall, as they were growing up, they did have to become very supportive of each other.
Okay.
And that's just the way it is. And they're very honest with each other. So I don't really have too much of a problem with that. I don't know if it's a
they thing. I don't think it's a reciprocal honesty. Because Plemons couldn't even tell Cumberbatch to take a fucking bath. Because he stinks like shit.
I think it's more like that's kind of more like a family respect thing. Like, I don't have a problem with any of that stuff. Any of the stuff that includes them in their scenes and what they're doing, zero issue with them whatsoever. It's all the rest of it that's a little bit problematic.
So, do you remember what happens at 43 minutes and 27 seconds?
I'm assuming this is that he gets mud stuck in the dick.
Yeah.
All right, okay.
Okay. So there is the penis scene, and it happens at, again, 43 minutes and 27 seconds, roundabout, where you see Cumberbatch on his own. I'm not even saying his name, Phil. Who cares?
Yeah.
And he's on his own, and he kind of climbs through this little wooden thicket type thing, and he climbs through this little hole to get to his secret little hidey place. And it's a pond, kind of like a nice big, not a lake or anything, but like a pond, creek type of thing. And it
would make me think that because of the way it was constructed and the way it was, he's had that little hidey hole since he was probably quite a young boy.
Yeah, because I think this is the, as I'll probably get into explain a little bit more, at least my idea of what it was to him is that he feels like he's so responsible for everything and he has to put on all these airs of being a strong man's man, that this is the one place that he has on Earth where he can be completely vulnerable and he can be completely himself, and no one else is allowed to know where it is. No one else is allowed to see him in his vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the place where he can come and fully undress. You actually see him kind of like bathing in a way, in his rancher way, I guess, where he's covering himself in mud and he's just like rubbing mud all in his butt and rubbing mud everywhere. And this is where the full frontal scene comes in. It's not amazing,
it's very brief, and it's not
super
even,
brief, and it's not even like a pause and check it type of situation, but it's fine. Like, it works very well for what the scene is, because it's not necessary. No. But I think it does, in the moment, give exactly what you need to know about his character and what he's all about in that moment. A very, very private kind of moment for him. So I don't mind. I don't need a full on.
No. There's another
cockerbatch.
Yeah, you actually see more dick in. There's a bathing scene where a bunch of the men, they all get naked and they're all kind of swimming in the creek.
Yeah, very homoerotic, but I think that just like the homoeroticism comes about not always when a bunch of men are bathing together, but it happens. Yeah. I would say it's fairly common, but all these ranchers are out, they're topless, they're naked. They're naked men.
They're so manly. They see another dick, they're just like, yo, like, we're good, aren't we?
Yeah, we all got dicks, right?
It's like, you're gonna touch my dick. Put my dick in your hand.
My God.
Like, well, touch my balls.
That other penis scene is like an hour and 11 and 10 seconds.
Put them in my mouth.
But there's definitely more nudity towards the end of this movie.
I'm gonna ride the horse.
Or that's kind of in the middle. Anyway, doesn't matter. Kind of but yeah, I don't know if you have anything else to add about, like, at least the Cumberbatch dick scene is probably the more.
If it wasn't for the fact that he was rubbing himself with the mud in such a way that he pulled his dick to the point where it ended up touching his stomach, you probably never would have seen it.
No, because the camera pans up at the point where he turns around, so
it tilts up.
Oh, my apologies.
Yeah. So because it's framed in such a way that it's more in a mid shot as opposed to anything wider. So we don't see it. It's incidental. It's incredibly incidental.
Yeah, definitely.
But then he jumps in the water. We don't see anything there. He rinses off all of the mud and stuff like that. And effectively, the scene is over.
Takes a little swim.
Yeah, it takes a little swim.
It's brief, but it's effective. I thought it was. It's funny because I talked to a few people who had seen this movie before I got a chance to watch it, because I wanted to do it with you, Ryan, so we could do a little episode, and no one remembers the penis.
No, because it's not particularly.
It's not highlighted in any way, which I think shows. I don't know what it shows necessarily, but I think it works for what the scene is, and I don't think that anyone needs. I don't think a dick necessarily needs to be highlighted at all. Anyway, it should just flow with the film. Yeah, and it should just work with the film.
Well, the thing is, like, I kind of wanted a little bit of explanation as to. I was like, why is he rubbing mud on himself and then jumping in the creek? I didn't fully understand why that was happening. But for the most part, like, if that's like one of my questions, there's so many other questions that I wanted answered.
Well, I mean, that's a therapeutic thing. You've seen House of Gucci. Mud bath.
Yeah, we did see House of Gucci.
Mud bath.
Yeah.
I honestly wasn't weirded out about the mud. I thought it was fine.
Yeah. These films are, I mean, House of Gucci is probably slightly more entertaining than this one. But they're rated exactly the same.
Oh, in your book?
Yeah.
House of Gucci is rated higher for me than this one.
Yeah, I gave it middle of the road. They're both a bit middle of the road.
I still like these movies. So moving on, I do have little bits of trivia and stuff that I didn't get to say before, so I could maybe drop those on you now.
Drop it.
Okay, so there were two other people that were originally cast in this film in the roles of George Burbank, the brother, and Kirsten Dunst's character as Rose. And so originally Rose was meant to be played by Elizabeth Moss.
Okay.
I feel like that works too. I feel like I remember when this movie was announced, I was like, oh yeah, Elizabeth Moss.
Yeah.
And watching it, you go, even though Kirsten Dunst, I thought, I love Kirsten Dunst, whatever. But I thought Elizabeth Moss would have been really good too.
Yeah, I think Elizabeth Moss.
They share these characteristics, the two of them.
Yeah, I think the issue I have just overall in general is just her character is not developed significantly enough. A lot of it is left up to interpretation, and I'm just like, show me more key important things that make me understand and realize why she gets to the destination that she gets to.
True.
Because it's just not fleshed out.
It definitely
enough.
doesn't feel as though she should be going as far as she was going, just based on a little bit of mockery by the brother.
They don't look like they have hard lives.
No, they do
at
not.
At all. It looks blissful.
Compared to what she was doing before.
Like if you wake up
actually,
every
what she was
morning,
doing before wasn't honestly that bad either.
No, she effectively ran like a small B&B.
Yeah, that seems alright.
Like at the same time, I'm like, okay, like I can understand this is hard labor and it's maybe a bit of a hard fucking life, but
not for her.
Look at what you're surrounded by.
She had housemaids. They have cooks, multiple staff. She didn't have to do anything. Maybe she was bored. Maybe she was bored.
Maybe she was bored.
And she was sad.
Wow.
And bored and lonely. Whatever, sad, bored, and lonely, that's enough to make you want to drink some bourbon by yourself in bed.
Ugh, give me a fucking break.
Okay, so in the role of George, was Paul Dano.
Oof. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, then it gets a little bit too close to fucking, like, There Will Be Blood. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think Paul Dano...
Yeah,
would have been a different flavor.
For sure. He had to drop out because he's doing the Batman. So he had to drop out to the schedule because of the Batman.
Riddler. Yeah, he's the Riddler in that movie.
And Elizabeth Moss dropped out because of conflicts with The Handmaid's Tale. So...
Thing is, the casting isn't the issue. I feel like just the writing is more my issue. It focuses on the wrong things for me.
For you, okay.
Yeah, it just needed to be, instead of cutting things off and progressing the timeline a little bit too quicker than it needed to be, it needed to put us right in the framework as to like why these people get to these points. Phil is probably the most developed from beginning to end. He's incredibly unlikable and completely unrelatable from start to finish.
Yeah.
Peter, at one point we thought Peter had died. Because we didn't even know where he went. Like after he did the angry hula hoop,
30 minutes.
We thought he'd hula hoop so much he went to the sky and he never came back.
Yeah.
And then he just kind of appears. And for me, I'm like, look, I shouldn't have to work this hard to try and piece these things together. We're working in a visual medium. Like I can understand that Kirsten Dunst has married the brother, right?
Yes.
He's moved them in, but then you don't see Peter again until like fucking 25.
I think it's because he was
later.
at school or something, but they never. I don't think they explained that until like way later. I'm like, okay, he's in medical school now. He's a fucking freak.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Is like they focus on wrong things in the timeline. They try and extend things out maybe a little bit too much, or quicken things up a little bit too much, and then you're kind of just left a little bit lost, trying to feel like, well, why is this person now back? It's kind of like when they cut up. This is controversial, but when they made the shortened version of Kingdom of Heaven, right?
Yeah,
they did the shorter version of that where like characters would be seen in one scene and then the next thing you know is they're gone, they never come back.
Okay.
And then you're at your funeral and you're like, right, okay, I don't fully understand this, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like either this script is maybe over long and they've butchered it in the edit, or it just wasn't there to begin with. And
it's still long. It's, like it doesn't necessarily, I didn't feel like I was sitting there for too long. Honestly, like when we first paused it for that first dick scene and it was at 46 minutes, I didn't feel like I'd been sitting there for almost an hour. So that's a credit, at least in my opinion, to the film.
It was not ideal.
Okay. So since this is a fairly new film, I only have one accolade, and it was from the Venice International Film Festival, and Campion was awarded the Silver Lion for Best Direction. So,
All right.
yeah, that's the only accolade I have. But yeah, I'm gonna wind this down and ask you if you would recommend this film.
If you have Netflix, then you have no excuse not to watch it if you want to.
Okay.
But I don't know. I don't know if I could recommend it though. It kind of depends on what you want. It's like if you're, because I don't want to feel like a simpleton or a fucking philistine or whatever. Like we're trying to, like I feel like I've watched a bunch of stuff that I feel like, I mean, I'd get more enjoyment watching an Andrei Tarkovsky movie that's double the length of this one. And those films are incredibly slow.
All right,
like
film boy.
The slowest of burners, right? Well, I'm trying to make some level of comparison. I don't want to make myself feel like, I've grown tired of this sort of thing. Like this more examinatory, like, style of filmmaking.
Okay.
I just feel like the story is just not, it's just not there. It's not interesting for me. When I feel like I'm grasping at it and I want it to tell me a bit more than what it's saying, I don't want to have times where I'm like zoning out, looking at my phone, then going back to the film. And I'm like, all right, okay. I was like, what's happening here? I shouldn't feel lost in it. What it should do is it should be losing me in the wonder of what it's creating.
That's very romantic.
And it's not doing that.
I wasn't necessarily swept away, but I also wasn't, bored. I might have looked at my phone like once, but that wasn't a lot. I felt pretty engaged during the whole thing, and
Okay.
also I was pretty excited because at the end of the film we got a titular line, which is my favorite thing, other than full frontal male nudity, is a titular line.
Yeah.
God, I love it, and it was perfect.
Yeah, it's another thing as well where it's like it's a line in a book.
Isn't it the Bible?
And yeah, pretty much. And it requires you to then do some additional reading yourself in order to kind of fully understand what exactly it means.
No, I had no idea what it was talking about.
Yeah, so it's like...
There's one thing we didn't talk about, which I'm not going to talk about, but I am going to say Bronco Henry. Which, if you were to do a drinking game to this film, you would drink every time someone says Bronco Henry.
Yeah. And let's say it this way, like if you're going to decide to do a drinking game to this movie in particular, make sure that drink is fucking ethanol.
Wow, it's just getting worse. The more that you hate it, the more I like it.
Yeah, but that's usually our dynamic though.
No, fair enough.
No, but we both share the interest in that we've seen it once, we're never going to watch it again.
You're right. I don't want to watch it again. So that would bring me to recommend this movie, and I'm not doing a glowing review or anything. I'm just saying that I think that it's not too long.
You're just saying it to be contrarian.
And no, I told you after we watched it.
It's fine. You
that
can admit
I enjoyed it. I gave it, we could get to the ratings, but I gave it 3 stars for the film.
Yeah, I gave it 2.5. I think it's straight down the middle.
Which is fine. And I think I gave it 3 just because there were things that surprised me about it that I wasn't expecting. And I also have so much of Campion's in the cut in my head that I hated how it looked, that this one comparatively, which we should not compare the two, but we will, it looks so much prettier. It's a lot easier to digest than in the cut.
Yeah, well, most of In the Cut's out of focus.
Yeah. But this, I don't know, I still think it's pretty. I liked the characters.
I mean, she also made the piano, and the piano, as far as I remember, and I mean, we're going to have to
We're going to do it eventually, and I'm looking forward to rewatching that film.
Yeah, that film, I remember being very pretty.
I'm excited to revisit all of the things you're saying about the piano when we actually record the piano.
Yeah, I'm actually quite scared now. It's actually worrisome.
And for the actual scene, for visibility and context in terms of the male nudity, I'm giving it, if you're doing just the Cumberbatch scene, it's a 0.5 star. It's a 0.5. In terms of the later
would
one, it's
agree.
maybe a 1 star
Probably, yeah. So
later
it's
in the
not-
film.
Yeah, they're incredibly incidental. It's almost as if they're accidental,
Yeah, and
to be
that
fair.
I'm not mad about it. It's just
No,
there's
it's just not.
Well, I guess if you're going to do it with context, the context is like 5 stars. And the visibility is like a 1/2 star.
Yeah, but
Maybe
I mean,
that
I'm not going to
brings-
give the context that high a regard. I'm still trying to figure out why he covered himself in mud. Like, I really don't know. It's like, have you ever slurried around in like mud and shit, like going on trails and things? Like, you stir that shit up, it smells like straight up shite.
Ryan, I live in mud. That is my
Yeah,
life.
you do. It smells like shite, right?
Yeah, it smells. Well,
Yeah.
the dirt sucks.
Yeah, so
As an archaeologist,
covering himself in dirt and shit.
I live in the dirt.
Getting mud in his pee-pee hole.
What do we call us? Dirt goblins? Dirt gremlins?
Dirt gremlins.
That's what we are.
Mud moblins. Yeah.
Mud daubers.
Mud domers. Mud grubbers. Mud robbers. That's what you are.
No.
Someone's like, you're stealing the mud. Call the mud police.
Okay. Is there anything else that we missed? Or are we good to wrap this up?
Oh,
Because
yeah,
I want
we're good
to. I want to go. I want to go have a snack.
I want to go watch a good movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks guys for being here for our special episode of The Power of the Dog. We'll be back with more Jane Campion in the future. Hopefully not right away. There's other special episodes I think we're going to do soon because there's a lot of stuff coming up in this Oscar season. Nightmare Alley, I heard, has some full frontal, so we're going to have to deal with that when that comes out. But if you guys see anything that we haven't done or you want us to cover, send us a message on Instagram. We're probably more on that than anything.
Yeah.
But it's at On The Beat, BITTE. And yeah, thanks so much for being here. And we're coming to you from Bronco Henry's secret porno stash under the tree in the forest.
Wow. Spoiler alert.
I've been Laura.
And unfortunately, I'm still Ryan.
Oh, thank goodness for you.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Get me a towel. I need to slap a horse.
Oh, God, leave him alone. Poor thing.